Hi, warm weather, my old friend. We've come back to Melbourne again. And then while we were beaching, some removalists from Sydney were sneezing. And we've ended up back in lockdown again. Not again. So now here's the sounds of the Two Vets Talk Pets podcast, or Too Much Talking to Pets is Barely Enough. I'm Dr. Robbie Anderton, and here is Dr. Lewis Garfunkel.
Very nice, mate. Who would have thought that a couch would carry COVID, hey? A couple of couches and a TV could bring so much grief.
And it's so often that removalists go, like, I mean, we were very careful with our amendment that we put in the last podcast to not be throwing sort of any sort of legal shade over any potential sort of meat plants or anything like that. Can we say anything about how weird it is that removalists will come from Sydney and deliver things to multiple places in the northern suburbs of Melbourne?
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Just industries we just have no idea about.
No idea about, Lewis.
And for our overseas listeners, they might be a bit confused. We are in lockdown again here in Victoria, Melbourne.
Victoria.
Victoria.
Shut down the whole state.
Yeah, shut down the whole state. So in lockdown 5.0, it's our fifth lockdown. And it's essentially we've got COVID into our state because a couple of removalists drove down from New South Wales, who unfortunately have got a lot of cases at the moment, and brought with them COVID, and then just proceeded to go to, I don't know, McDonald's and just to all different
spread
places.
It throughout an apartment block,
Yes,
and then it's ended up at the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, at the Carlton Geelong game, and
ended up at the rugby union. It's ended up in a couple of schools. It is. We are in lockdown, and hopefully it won't be for long. But yeah, so.
Fingers crossed, but that when they start talking about the wheels of justice will turn on these removalists from Sydney, like, wow, I thought you guys had this worked out that this stuff wasn't going to happen, and it hasn't, and that's a bit frustrating.
I know, but how lucky that we got a bit of time away, mate. We got our tax funded. Our podcast trip up to Port Douglas to record in the beautiful sunny climes, and then we just got our holiday in, which is I feel very lucky that I got to do that. I'm sure you do too.
The fact that we managed to thread the needle of being able to get up there and back without there being any cases up there that then would have stopped us from being able to come back here, that we were able to get up there. So we were very lucky when we were as we were coming back from the airport. And I've been a little bit sort of funny with not wanting to get, sort of go around too many areas. Having been at the airport, I want to give it a couple of days. Now that there's been so much more of it around, I just want to, I'm sort of a little bit worried about the Terminal 4 at Melbourne Airport on Thursday afternoon might turn into, a bit of a hotspot.
I did notice you're a bit tense, mate, and that does make a bit of sense because obviously you haven't been to the local Chinese sort of massage but that sort of thing, just to get the regular kind of tension, just the massage that you normally get before the pod.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the nerves out.
Definitely tightly wound. That is an absolute given, Lewis. Then it's like a spring.
Isn't it, when they do the contact tracing, isn't it sort of lovely not lovely, but interesting to try and sort of track what other people's lives are like? He's obviously caught the tram from here to there. He's gone to Young and Jackson's. He's had a couple of beers before the footy. He's got back on the tram again. He's gone and sat in the members at the MCG. Then he's caught the train home, and this and that. He's gone to, whatever it is. And all these other people, they've gone to High Point. They've gone to the piercing body shop at High Point. Good. Then they've gone to, they've gone to the reject shop, and then they've gone here and they've gone to this clothes shop. It's like some people's lives. I think was me, it'd be just, I've gone to work, I've come home, gone to bed. Yeah.
Went for a jog and that was it.
That's right.
If anyone else has been on my couch while I've been watching Loki, then yes, you're a tier one. It's a tier one site, but otherwise, no, you're completely fine.
Exactly. Don't get me started on Loki, mate. I'm actually enjoying a bit of Marvel there, but we won't go into that because that will just go down a big rabbit hole, and we're into more grit, aren't we?
All I will say then is once you've finished watching Loki, there's a new 7-minute special of the Simpsons and the Marvel universe, or the Good, the Bad, and the Loki. Watch that. It is Jeff's kiss, absolute
Great.
Jeff's kiss.
Fantastic.
So,
how's Melbourne?
One thing I did want to say is, isn't it funny how you keep on getting all these public toilets that end up being tier 1 places?
Yes.
And it only ever seems to be the male public toilet areas that are tier 1. Now that either means that it's just blokes that are going to the toilets and they're actually not washing their hands like they should be, or maybe there's something else weird going on. I don't know.
To be tier 1, I think you have to have spent 15 minutes in the location. So that's not just your in and out, is it? Really, as married guys who, I mean,
with kids, you, mate. Sometimes with it's kids, the only point of respite.
You're out at the shopping centre. There's a lot of shopping going on. Not my favourite thing. I'll just duck in here for just 16 minutes of free time.
Yep.
And then bang, there it is. I've been busted. Damn it. There we go. Anyway, Grit, mate. Got to get back to it. How's Melbourne? How's your cat?
So speaking of Grit, look, he's doing very well. We went and picked him up when we came home from the last 2 days when we're up in Queensland. It was about every 4 hours, Camille was going, I want to see Melly. When can we get back and see Melly? I said, well, it's actually lucky the nurses are putting him on the plane and flying him up to Cairns. We're going to go and get him from Cairns, put him back on the plane to go back in. Really? I said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to see him in 2 days. We'll go and get him in 2 days. So we went and picked him up on Thursday, and mate, he's as happy as a lark. So
right,
running around, eating well. He's got a very interesting ultrasound patterned alopecia on his tummy from where he's had the ultrasound. The hair's not growing back too quickly. But he's eating well. He's bright and happy. He's back sleeping on Camille's bed, wants to go outside. So he's doing absolutely brilliantly. He's for all the angst and the terror that we felt of leaving a cat that wasn't eating and possibly had necrosis of the gastric wall when we left to go to Port Douglas. Now everything all seems to be great. Parker's come back shedding a cat and a half's worth of hair because he's been in the cattery at work. He hasn't been spending any time on laps getting patted, so he is just he's a cat and a half full of hair. So he's just leaving tumbleweeds up and down the hallway.
Right, and Rosie, how's Rosie?
Yeah, she seems like she's. Yeah. So Rosie seems like she's still doing well. She hasn't sold us under the bus. She hasn't tried jumping the fence to go and live with Jed anymore. So it's good. She seems to have stuck with us, which is great.
Good.
And she's due for her next dose of chemo. I was a little bit worried coming home, given that she's a week overdue for a chemo dose. I was a little bit worried feeling those lymph nodes that they might have popped up, because new listeners to the show, welcome. But Rosie's getting treatment for lymphoma, a cancer of the white blood cells. So quite a few months ago, we found that she had lymphoma, huge lymph nodes. So we started her on chemo, but ordered some more doxorubicin yesterday. So she'll be getting marinated with that during the week.
Excellent. And if you're new on Patreon, welcome too.
Welcome.
You're getting this a week early. So go to Patreon and you can be listening to us a week early. Speaking of COVID stuff, it's interesting. I had a consult this week. Look, it wasn't. It was euthanasia in the end, which is never obviously our most enjoyable things to do, but I guess sometimes I talk about it being the final gift that we can give. And it was interesting. I saw the dog sort of one day, and it was an older dog. It was fairly unwell, and it came in with one of the older sons sort of thing. And we're only allowing one sort of person in the consult room. And he said from the start, and I sort of looked at the dog and was like, well, we're looking a bit old. It's not so well, sort of like unwell. Had a few lumps and bumps on it and things. And he said, oh, can my mum come in? I said, oh, not really. No. We've got small rooms here. Mum maybe we can get her on the phone. Oh, mum's just in the waiting room. Okay, well, maybe, we can get mum on the phone in the waiting room. And then sort of a nurse came in and said, oh, mum's in the waiting room. Can she come in too? I was like, all right. I started looking at the dog. Yeah, okay, maybe we do need to have mum in here chatting as well. So I said, look, mum, we'll open the door of the consult room. You can stand outside in the corridor. And so then, examining the dog, we're talking with mum and the older son, who, when I say older, he's in his 20s probably.
Yeah. Okay.
And examining the dog, and we sort of did examination. I found there was a big lump in the liver. And I
Right.
thought, oh, yeah, this is not looking so good. So then we went from, one person in the consult. I said, look, Mum, come on into the consult room. I think we've got to have a little bit of a chat, sort of shut the door. I thought, we had a bit of a temperature, a bit of a fever on the dog. So we did try a little bit of medication. I thought a bit of pain relief. Let's see if we can improve over the next 24 hours. I'll see you tomorrow, kind of thing. And so they came in the next day and we weren't sure how we were going to go. And so both mum and son came into the consult room and, we're trying to be COVID safe. It's a tiny little room we're in. And I looked at the dog and examined. I said, look, it's not looking good, guys. Unfortunately, we had to talk about quality of life. And I think they were pretty prepared for it. And they sort of said, oh, well, can my daughter come? I'm trying to get my daughter on the phone. Can she come for the euthanasia too? I'm like, gosh, you've got two people in here already. It's not really COVID safe. A third person. All right, yes, it's a euthanasia sort of thing. And so I said, look, we'll have to reschedule, come in later at 3:00. So they went off and came back, and then they, went to the consult room, whatever. And I came into the consult room, and it turned out it was 4 people, me, a nurse, in this, what must only be a 3 meter by 3 meter room.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the things we do as vets to just give people, and it was really upsetting. It got quite warm in there. Everyone was quite emotional, and it went all smoothly and everything. But it just makes me think that, it's not ideal in a COVID environment to be doing that, but some of the things we do as vets, we just do go over and above, don't we? Just to give that final send off.
Yeah, we had that. I think it was in our last lockdown, where again, we usually only had one person in the consult room with us, and it was a euthanasia. And they said, "Look, can we have the family come in?" Look, that's fine. They can come in. It turned out it was 8 people.
Yeah, wow,
8 people in the room.
Yes.
It's like, let's just take the table out. Table out.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it is that thing of where you try and do what you can, and especially, I mean, it's for those situations. It's not like you're doing it for the puppy vaccination or sort of the easy stuff. It is something that you. It's good that we can do it, but it is sort of stretching the. I mean, absolutely, we're breaking the law.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, checking. COVID tracing, Port Melbourne Vet Clinic. There were 6 people in a room that was 2 by 3 meters. It's certainly not ideal. And of course, everyone's upset and crying, and masks are slipping down. It's just interesting. But on a different note,
yes.
The day after we recorded our part 2 of Port Douglas, last week, interesting that we met Deb and I walking on the beach, 4 Mile Beach, where we've been swimming for most days. And the lifeguard came along in their little dune buggy, driving on the beach, saying, everyone sort of get out of the water, stop walking through the water. There's a croc in the water at the beach where we've been swimming. So for all our overseas listeners, I mean, no, we don't have kangaroos going down the street.
With machine guns? No.
We do have crocs in the water. So be careful. Just gives us a good image, doesn't it? And I think I sent you the video, mate. They were fully 20 meters out from the shore, this 5 meter croc just swam the whole full length of 4 Mile Beach. And the people on the beach, everyone's there looking at and pointing, and and it was incredible to see that it was so close. And then we're sort of like, well, it's the morning. What happens in the afternoon? Like, what's interesting? So interesting.
I'll let you know what happens in the afternoon.
No, it was interesting what we sort of, talked to the lifeguard and said, well, what we do is the after we haven't seen the croc anymore, after it's disappeared, gone wherever, we then set a timer for 4 hours. And 4 hours after that timer that we've last seen the crocodile, we open the beach again. I thought, oh, that's interesting. 4 hours. That's interesting, because I do know the crocodiles can hold their breath for 7 hours. So what you're giving us is 4 hours plus the croc an extra 3 hours just to swim along and just come back to where the flags are, between the flags where everyone swims. The buffet. Just be ready. So I'm not sure how they get the 4 hours. Where does that come from? That's pretty arbitrary.
Well, and I'm pretty sure that, so when you sent me that picture that afternoon, after you and Deb had seen it that morning, Camille and I were out having a bit of a splash around in the out on the beach, further down away from the flags, because, we weren't at the flags. We were down near the accommodation. We went out there like we just come back from, there are a little bit of waves there. And so we're now teaching her how to body surf. And, so, well, we weren't 20 meters out, but we also weren't, just in ankle deep water.
Yes.
We'd be able to see a big log with eyes coming along. So when you sent me that photo, I actually didn't show the rest of the family for about 3 or 4 days. So I thought, I don't want to completely put everyone off, even just from going to the beach. So
well, we did go back in that afternoon. I mean, typical Australians. Oh, you should be right, mate. We went back in, but there were a few jokes going around going, don't be the furthest one out. Don't be the furthest one out. And everyone's standing in knee-deep water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we after Camille and I, when Camille and I were in having a swim, there one of the old locals came up for a chat, and he was saying that they had a nippers carnival there last year or the year before or something like that.
Tasty.
And so out at Port Douglas, because they often get stingers, so they have a stinger net up to try and stop at stinger season, so that people don't get stung by the jellyfish. And they said that the nippers carnival, they had to swim out to one boy and around out to the next boy and then back in again. And so they had the seniors out there on the boards watching the kids come in. And so once the last kid had come through, they all looked out and then saw the guys on the boards standing up on the boards. And they said that, there was just this croc that was just standing there on the water, just as all the nippers had been swimming around. And so they're on their board. And then suddenly the croc's just gone down 1 meter and then completely lost it. Could not see where it was at all.
I think when you can't see them, that's potentially the concern. And I think it'd be going, oh, look at all that tasty stuff caught in the net. Caught in that net
absolutely,
there. Oh, perfect. It's in the net. I've caught it.
Beauty.
Yeah.
And so, when much to that thing. So we went up to Mossman Gorge, and I borrowed Camille's goggles. So I swam across the gorge. It's the first time I've actually swum in there after having been at the gorge for a few times.
Did you get bitten by the freshwater eel like I did? Did you go to the spot?
I didn't go to the spot, but I was swimming across, and it's. Like previously when I didn't have the goggles on, I swam out to the rock that was in the middle, held onto the rock, pulled Camille up on the rock, had some fun. Isn't that great? But then when I came back, I said, can I borrow your goggles? I just want to swim across the other side. And it's amazing how scarier it is when you're actually seeing what's under the water rather than not seeing what's under the water. Because suddenly you're swimming along and you're going, hang on, was that a log? Oh, no, what that move there? Oh, it was just a fish. And so I swam across the other side and I'm trying to scrabble on the rocks, trying to find my footing. And then suddenly something's just shot out from under the rocks. And go, oh, holy crap, what was that? And it was a little turtle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
nice.
so I'm down over the other side and I've sort of waved to get Camille's attention. And I made the little turtle signal. And she's going, oh, and because Ruben wasn't swimming because he didn't want to get water in his ears.
Yeah.
And Ruben's trying to make signals going, pick it up and bring it over. I'm not picking it up and bringing it over. It's a poor little turtle. I'm not even going to be able to find it again anymore. But it scared the crap out of me actually being able to see what was going on in the water there. So sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Well, it's a bit different. Like when we went to that little swimming hole, you and I, after in the afternoon, out of Port Douglas, a lovely little spot that we knew. And it was interesting when we got there. There was no one swimming.
Yes,
and Stella and I, we've all swum in there before previously, but there was a moment where I went, there's no one swimming here. I kind of want someone to go in first.
Yes, yeah.
And it was only when those young ladies came down, they're having a birthday party or whatever, and they jumped in. I went, oh, it must be fine. Yeah. They haven't been eaten. We can go in there. There's no crocs in there today. And so getting in there, I must say, I had the goggles on too, and then I had the Stella's mask on. And there's a lot of fish in there, definitely. A lot of little fish and turtles in that part too. Yes, but you're always thinking, is that a croc? Is that good thing?
Surely the crocs don't come up this far. The water's too cold.
It's too cold.
It's wet.
It's too cold. It's moving too fast. Yeah. They don't climb the rocks to get in here. There's no way. Yeah. Well, anyway. All righty. Well, big thank you to our sponsor, Zylkene. Big supporter of the podcast. Certainly helped to keep all our animals calm while we went on holidays. I had Olive on some Zylkene staying in the cattery. I'm sure you had we had Rosie on some Zylkene, didn't you?
And we actually use Zylkene at the cattery at work. So any of the cats that come in that are a little bit anxious or a little bit uppity, we've got a steady supply of Zylkene that the nurses put in with their food every day.
Great for those anxiety sort of situations, mild anxiety, things like that.
Very safe too, Lewis. So safe.
Yeah. Actually, I had someone on a Facebook group say, my dog got into the whole bottle of Zylkene and ate them all. And
Wow.
what are the likely side effects? And I made a little comment and said, well, they're probably going to be pretty chilled.
Yes,
No,
yes.
and apart from that, no issues. Maybe a little bit of diarrhea, but no issues at all. It's very
No.
safe medication. So thank you.
No. You'd
Thank
have
you very
more
much,
problems of
Zylkene.
getting. You'd have more problems of getting issues from eating the bottle than what you would do from eating what was inside the bottle.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, you're right, definitely. And also, a big thank you to Delicate Care and Cherish.
Cherish, yes.
Yeah, the new brand of food that I got a sample. Did you get a sample, mate, this week?
I haven't been back to work yet, so hopefully it's at work waiting for me.
Yeah, I got a fantastic sample, so I'm about to open that and check it out and see how Olive enjoys the Cherish brand food, which is made by the same group as Delicate Care, but it's the premium product, but at a more affordable price, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't got the dog or cat that's got skin or stomach problems, or you don't want the dental food, then you can go with the Cherish that you can get from your pet shop.
If you're wanting the unleaded version of a highly, not talking premium unleaded. We're not talking the 98 octane, one that your Delicate Care is, which is the absolute Rolls Royce of Rolls Royces. If you're looking for something that is still got all the science and all the quality and all the what's
just the good stuff, nutrients, the complete
but also
food.
the care of what's been gone into it, the quality control of knowing that you're getting a diet that's been made right and what it says on the packet is in the packet. Have a check out of Cherish.
Exactly, especially I guess it's an Australian-owned food too, so that's really
Australian made,
well.
Australian. Everything that can be sourced from Australia is in that bag of food.
Exactly. And also big thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you're listening to this a week early, congratulations.
Hey, welcome to Tenant.
Thanks very much for your support. We certainly do. And if you want to get the podcast a week early, then go to patreon.com, search for Two Vets Talk Pets, and you can for $2 a month you can get it for a week early and get the up-to-date grit.
Yes.
Like what I'm going to talk about from the Advertiser.
Oh yes, yeah. What's happened? What's happened in the Adelaide Advertiser?
This is an article written by Caleb Bond, and it's about Jethro. A 6-year-old Kelpie cross was being walked by his owner Mallory Webber through Anstey Hill Recreation Park on a Sunday when he sniffed out a brown deposit on the side of the path and began to eat it.
Oh,
Ms. Webber said her pooch often liked to eat kangaroo dung when on walks, but he's chowing down. But he was chowing down on this poo, and it wasn't kangaroo. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, stop! It's disgusting." How did she know it wasn't kangaroo? Was it?
Yeah, I don't want to know.
What's that, Skip? No, that's not mine. I didn't do it. It wasn't. I wasn't. What's that? It's not yours. Okay. A few hours later, after she took Jethro home, he began to behave really weird.
Oh.
I wrapped up his bath really quickly.
Less weird than more weird than what he does when he usually eats kangaroo poo.
That's right. He wasn't hopping around.
No.
He wasn't hopping around.
His front legs didn't sort of shrink up T-Rex style.
Yeah. I wrapped up his bath really quickly and put him in his bed, and he was really flinchy and glitchy, like I just bashed him or something. Right?
Oh, jeez.
Right. Well, okay. That's
right.
That's gone the wrong way really quickly. Yeah. I didn't see that coming. Wow. It was horrible. Then all of a sudden he was out like a light. After waking him up and discovering he couldn't walk straight, she rushed him to the vet. The vet said he showed signs of cannabis consumption by dogs and subjected him to
diagnosed by trying to feed him cheesels and twisties and seeing if he eats them.
Well, subjected him to a urine drug test, which was positive for methamphetamine and THC, the active chemical in marijuana.
Whoa.
Now they do have a photo of Mallory, and she's not your standard methamphetamine marijuana. So I'm pretty sure it's related to the kangaroo incident.
Oh yes, the kangaroo was the one that was loaded.
His vitals are really scary, Ms. Webber said. She stayed up all Sunday night checking on him every 30 minutes. Thankfully, Jethro made a full recovery, ate 3 packets of cheesels, 7 pig's ears, and 2 bowls of ice cream with tomato sauce on recovery.
Excellent. Yeah, and watched just watched Netflix over and over and over again.
Watch Rage all night. No idea what they're talking about. Ms.
Stone
Weber said,
Roses. Just listen
Ms.
to
Weber's-
Stone Roses on loop.
Ms. Weber said it was bizarre that someone drugged up on meth and cannabis was pooping in the woods. Oh, the brown deposit.
Yes,
see.
right. Yes.
I see. So that was a subtle way of saying that wasn't
Kangaroo poo.
dung.
No.
Someone else had done a kangaroo
Yeah, right.
poo in the woods. She was unsure who would do such a thing. Well, clearly someone who,
Meth addict.
yeah, he's on meth, he's on cannabis and methamphetamine and is busting to go to the toilet. But she said she's seen people camping in the park.
Oh,
despite
right.
it being closed at night.
Yeah,
well,
right.
Well, I guess a bit of a public service announcement, mate. We do that a little bit on the show. Perhaps to all meth users out there, please remember to take poo bags.
Take a shovel. Yeah.
Poo bags with you and be responsible when you're at the park and doing the poo and pick up after yourself. Just that little poo bag. We do say it often for dog owners. Please do that. But perhaps we need to expand it and to more breadth to include meth users at the park
as well. How about vegans, mate? Like if a vegan was there and was absolutely busting, because you know they're going to have eaten a lot of fibre, so there might be a fair bit of colonic work there. Would their poo be acceptable for Jethro to have a bit of a munch on?
Well, that'd be a voluminous. It's definitely not kangaroo sized if you're a vegan that's going in a vegan meth addict. Is there such a Oh dear.
Well, they don't need their teeth if they're vegan because they don't have anything to actually chew. So,
sorry.
Hello to all of our vegans. Hello to all our vegan listeners out there that brush their teeth twice a day.
Our stats on iPods, Apple iPods, mate. It's for that little wedge of the pie that's for vegans. That's just gone
it's
down to 1%. Going from 50% of our listeners to 1%.
It's just jumped in the icy mountain waters of Mossman Gorge, and our vegan listenership has just shrunk.
Yeah, exactly. Now, also speaking of fish in the gorge that you saw, how are you goldfish?
I saw this story too.
How are
they? They are still of normal size.
Right. Are they still alive?
Thank you. Yeah, they are. Yes. Yeah. They're alive. pH is fine, so that's good.
Yeah, it's good, mate. It's still in the tank. That's great because people. This is a story from Washington Post, I think, by The Age. The invasion begins innocently enough. A goldfish paddles the secluded waters of an at-home aquarium with two young children, Camille and Reuben, minding its own business, disturbing no native habitats. Real trouble comes later. Ooh. When the human who put it there decides it's time for a change.
Right.
It doesn't fit the decor anymore. Perhaps they need to go on a holiday. I don't know.
Yes.
When not wanting to hurt the fish, but not wanting to keep it either, the pet's owners decide to release it into a local lake, pond, or waterway. The decision, experts say, is well-meaning but misguided and potentially harmful. Officials in Burnsville, a city about 25 kilometers south of Minneapolis in the US, demonstrated why late last week when they shared photographs of several massive goldfish that were recovered from a local lake. The discarded fish can swell and wreak havoc, the city warned. And they've got a photo here, and it's a beautiful goldfish. I mean, isn't
it a massive creature?
You think about goldfish, that they don't grow that big generally in your tank. They often don't survive that well. This goldfish, it's as big. I don't know how to describe it. It's as the bloke is holding his hands, and it's 2 hands in length. It's huge. It's really, really big, and it's a beautiful golden goldfish color.
Yes.
People don't realize you pet goldfish into ponds and please don't release your pet goldfish into ponds and lakes, the city wrote in a Twitter post, which have been liked and retweeted more than 15,000 times by Sunday night. They grow bigger than you think and
swollen like a goldfish.
And contribute to poor water quality by mucking up the bottom sediments and uprooting plants. Burnsville, along with neighboring Apple Valley, began surveying the lake's goldfish population after residents complained of a possible infestation.
Ooh.
Working with the company Carp Solutions, which specializes in controlling water pests, the city sent a team to investigate, and even it was surprised by the size of the fish it found. Far from being an innocuous domestic animal, a goldfish freed in freshwater is an invasive species. An organism that is introduced to an environment can quickly reproduce, outcompete native species, and destroy a habitat. And even though they get less attention than invasive organisms such as Asian carp or zebra mussels, goldfish appear to be a growing problem in bodies of water across the United States, triggering warnings from government and around the world, triggering warnings from government officials in Virginia, Washington State, Australia, Waverley.
Waverley, yes,
Waverley,
absolutely.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
beware.
Yeah, Canada and elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Goldfish have the ability to drastically change water quality, which can have a cascade of impacts on plants and other animals, Ashling said. They are a major concern. They can live to be up to 25 years old.
Whoa.
So have you got a succession plan lined up, mate? When
yeah, but it's a long way off in the future now.
Well, you need to think, put them into your will or something, mate. 25 years. Weigh as much as 1.8 kilos and measure well over 30 centimeters long.
Wow.
How about that? Wow.
Does it say how they go in a beer batter?
Well, no, they're a bit muddy, I think. I don't think
Yeah,
they taste too good. Carp, yeah, it's not too tasty. People are trying to be nice, but they don't realize that goldfish can really have a lot of unintended consequences, Ashling said. Most people really care about their lakes and ponds, but you may be causing problems you weren't aware of if you let them go there. So if you do think that the goldfish are getting too big, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Did they say anything in the article there about how long to leave them out in the front yard for before you flush them down the toilet?
It reminds me. I think it reminds me of I had a goldfish consult once.
Really?
Yeah, I did. And the client rang up and I was like, "Oh, goldfish, really do have to?" All right, yeah, right. I come in, book it in. So came in and
get them to pay first, and then I'll see them.
Well, yeah, I said they had in a bowl, of course.
Put
it on the consult table, and they've gone. I've got a bit of ladies got a bit of a problem with the goldfish. It's having seizures.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. I sort of looked in the bowl and I've gone, sort of given it a bit of a look over and kind of, had a bit of a look. God, no, well, it seems fine to me. She goes, no, hang on a second. I haven't taken it out of the bowl yet.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice. Yeah, that's an asphyxiation style seizure.
Nice seizure, a syncope perhaps style seizure. Yeah. Anyway, all righty, on to the disclaimer, I reckon.
All right, all advice on this show is generally nature, so please consult your veterinarian before following advice for your pet. We do our best to provide the most up-to-date information. As veterinary medicine is continually advancing and changing, please let us know if we missed anything or if you need any clarification.
Yeah. Now, last week, we did put a bit of a call. Last 2 weeks, we did put a call out while we were recording at Port Douglas. We put an Instagram post up and asked if there are any questions. And we got to some of them on the shows, but we did get one from CFran73 and Tim. Yes. Not a question per se. Well, kind of is. I think I'm caught up on most of your episodes, but we'll love to hear you converse about CIRD or kennel cough, etc. Love heart. P.S. Would be great if you could possibly enable Deb to come on the podcast.
Well, she did last week.
Did she come on? She did. Did she? She did. Yeah. Yes. So there you go. You've got two things answered in one. Well, we'll answer the second one.
There you go. It's like Christmas today, for you, C-Fran.
But we have had Deb on a little bit, so that hopefully that's satiated your desire to hear Deb on the show. Again, as most people who ask questions seem to...
it's amazing.
Did have a bit of a comment from one of my... no, not a vet nurse, not allowed to call her a vet nurse. One of my colleagues who... a trainee vet nurse, say that we seem to have the same questions from the same people on the podcast all the time, and all of them seem to ask to have Deb on the show more. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. Had you noticed that, mate?
Not really, mate. I just deal with the podcasts as they come along. I tend to not dwell on previous things. But this one with kennel cough, absolutely, because we actually saw a bit of a flare up of kennel cough certainly around the Mount Waverley area before we went away. There was a bit of it going around in a few of the doggy daycare centres and around at the off-league dog parks. So we did have a run of dogs coming in with a canine infectious respiratory disease or canine cough or kennel cough or,
Or curd. Which one is it? Curd?
Yeah. So, curd? Like a lot of things you got different names for, it's just all the same thing, but it's, we just don't have a decent name for what anyone wants to call it. So.
Exactly. Not to be confused with what was done in the park by the meth user.
Yeah, that
curd with a
definitely
T.
wasn't a curd. No,
No,
no.
it wasn't a curd. A kangaroo turd. Curd.
A kangaroo meth turd. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So kennel cough is kennel cough is it's more of a clinical sign than a disease, I guess, but it's spread by it's caused by a group of different organisms, viruses, bacteria that basically all cause the same thing, which is just a very infectious but very sort of distinctive goose honk cough, like a real sort of airway kind of cough. And see, Franny, you may have missed my previous interpretive dance associated version of the kennel cough. So prepare yourself. Here it goes. There you go. Thank you.
I love the little hack at the end. I love it, mate.
Perfect.
So just for the listeners, how's that distinguished from perhaps a cough that's caused by heart failure? Do you do that one? Is that in the repertoire, or are you just a one-man song?
I'll be honest with you. I think the coughs with heart failure coughs are often the same, but so might be a little bit less of a terminal cough. The tracheal collapse is pretty similar, and so is chronic bronchitis. So kind of all of those things will all cause coughs about the same sort of way. It's those little. Those are the ones that I get worried about, because those are the ones like, oh, hang on, I don't like what those ones are going to be.
So is it really helpful to know what it sounds like?
Oh, not particularly, but it's just if it's a young dog, chances are it doesn't have heart failure or cancer or chronic bronchitis or a collapsing trachea. So
coughing, young dog, kennel cough.
Kennel cough, generally
Most
kennel
likely.
cough, absolutely, yeah. And it's generally what we call a self-limiting disease. So the dogs get it, generally they get better from it. And back in the old days, you'd treat with antibiotics because it made you feel like you were doing something. Yes. But in reality, most of the time it's a virus that's going to be causing it. Even if it is a bacteria, most of the time the body's going to be able to clear it out. Unless you've got dogs that are not getting better, have a fever, if they're showing signs of bronchitis or a bronchoalveolar disease, so they've got temperatures, it's a much more moist cough, they're unwell, or you take an x-ray and you see there's changes in the lungs, those are dogs that need antibiotics. Maybe dogs that have got immune system impairment. So if you've got a dog that's got that's got heart disease, or that's got Cushing's disease or diabetes or something like that, those are probably dogs that aren't going to be able to kick over those coughs as well as what a younger dog would do. But the vast majority of the time, they'll get better without antibiotics.
Exactly. And I think a common presentation, certainly with the cough, having a bit of a joke about it, but often owners will think there's something stuck in the throat.
Yes.
It's really that sort of cough. And it's very almost, I've never seen it, I don't think, where something is stuck in the throat that's causing a pet to cough, because if there's something stuck in the throat, there'll be a lot of salivation involved with that, potentially, just incessant coughing that just does not stop, which kennel cough can go on and on and on, but there's breaks in between where the dog, will not cough, but often it'll keep owners up at night too, the coughing.
And if you've got a dog that's got something caught in their trachea, the trachea's got this funny job of where it usually allows oxygen into the lungs. And so if you've got something that's blocking the oxygen going into the lungs, you don't have a dog that's otherwise pretty happy and joyous coming into the clinic. You've got a dog that's dying. The thing I love when I do my cough with an owner is the first two coughs that I do, they get this look on their face of, what the hell are you doing, until I do the hack, and then they go, yes. And so it's at that point.
I have to be honest, mate. I think the hack is that's the sealer. I was not convinced either until I heard the hack. I have to admit that's your piste de resistance, definitely right there, mate.
If as a tip for you, if you do want to do it in consults, you got to work on building up the saliva in the back of your throat with those first two coughs, so that hack sounds moist. So just work on that too. Otherwise, it is inauthentic. But we do put them on medication. We after we've checked them out, we make sure their temperature's okay, listen to their lungs, squeeze on the throat, get them to do a cough for us, do the liver test, offer them a bit of liver, they eat, beauty, no blockage there.
I like it, the liver test. Nice.
Liver test, they pass the liver test. That's great.
Yes.
Then we'll look at putting them on some cough suppressants, and there's varying amounts of cough suppressants and different things that you can use. There's the liquid where what's the stuff? It's the
Benadryl, you mean, or something like that? Benadryl?
no, that's trying to think, a Linkdol.
Oh, Linkdol, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
which is a pain in the bum to give, and sometimes I think is not all that effectual. We use a bit of codeine for it to try and help to suppress the cough. If the dog's coming in, they're really worked up, I'll often give them an injection of butorphanol. It's an opiate that can help to reduce down the cough sensation, but it also sedates them a little bit. So if the dogs have just been coughing like mad, they go home and have a nice sleep, which is good. And if the dogs are still coughing a lot and there's no infection there, sometimes I do need some prednisolone as well, just to help to try and reduce down the inflammation there, which I've had more dogs that I've needed to treat with prednisolone for kennel cough this year than what I have ever before. Like, it's only been a few, but it's more than what I've ever had to before. So
yeah, okay, yeah. I think some people use non-steroidals as well for the inflammation sometimes too.
I do, but then it's that hard thing of where if I do it, but then the cough's not getting better, and I've got to use prednisolone, then I need to wait until I can actually give them the pred. So it's a bit of a juggler. Which way do you go?
And I mean, it is something we do vaccinate for. I don't know if you mentioned the vaccines, but it is
didn't yet. No.
Yeah, is sort of preventative is in the core vaccines that certainly we would recommend in a city sort of stuff. And I guess you can still obviously catch kennel cough or canine cough as it should be called, because you don't just get it from the kennel. And certainly you can still catch it a bit. I sort of say it's a bit like, you vaccinated. It's not the same, but you vaccinated for the flu, but you can still get a cold, kind of like that. I know they're different viruses, but certainly, so you can be vaccinated for kennel cough, but you can still catch some sort of canine cough. And often I find it's not as severe if they've had a vaccination. Generally, if they haven't had a vaccination, there's perhaps more chance that you're looking at a really flat dog that's not eating, that maybe even needs some hospitalization. And thankfully, sort of in Port Melbourne, we don't see that a lot because a lot of dogs are sort of vaccinated. So it is something, certainly that the vaccination certainly does help, and it's a yearly vaccine that we certainly recommend doing. But again, it's generally a self-limiting disease, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, they will get better from it. You just got to try and help to hold their hand for a little bit and try and suppress those signs. But it is important if you've got a dog with kennel cough, to be looking for the signs of them getting worse. So if the cough is getting more frequent, more severe, the dogs are looking unwell, they're going off food, the cough's sounding moist. If you've got clinical signs that are getting worse, the disease is getting worse. We need to do something different. If you've got clinical signs that are getting better, the disease is getting better. But because it is infectious, you should keep your dog away from other dogs for a bit of time. That's
true. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, spot on. Definitely. All right. Well, hopefully that's answered your questions, C. Fran 73 and Tim.
Yes.
We also got another question from Vet Tech Cafe podcast.
Oh, hey. Show.
Yeah, welcome, guys. We did do a collab with those guys a while ago, so nice to hear from you. They say, miss you guys. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Yes, we are doing well. All the best. Thank you. All the best to you too. Our question is, what are the differences in recording outside versus in studio? Also, if at all possible, we would love to hear Deb on the podcast a bit more. Perhaps we could do a collab with Deb again in the future, because she sounds really good on the podcast.
Excellent.
Oh, there you go. To my trainee nurse, that was a different person asking that question.
There you go.
Not the same person, but they do ask for Deb as well, which is interesting. So, thoughts, mate, on outside versus inside in studio, which is basically just in our living rooms.
So what I would recommend, if you're going to do an outside broadcast, is to try and find a much more comfortable log to sit on than what we did. Our log was particularly uncomfortable, and we ended up getting quite the sore buttocks by the time we were finishing recording the second podcast, because neither of us are very young anymore, Lewis. And so, sitting down on a hard palm tree for a while was not great.
Yeah, take a cushion.
A cushion, yes.
Because I think certainly Robbie didn't find that his hemorrhoid cushion was perhaps supportive enough for the long record that we did do. Yeah.
No. Thankfully, the hemorrhoids didn't get any worse though for the
Right.
time, which is great.
Right.
Trying to find somewhere where you don't have a whole lot of young rugby league players that are looking at you at two middle-aged men hiding up in the behind the tree line, talking into microphones. I guess that's again a location thing and you can control that when you're doing it in studio because you can make sure you have the windows closed.
Had a little bit of feedback that people were amazed how good the sound quality was. I think.
I know,
which is really good. And a few people said that they could actually hear the waves in the background. So that's what we wanted too, which is nice.
And how good was that we weren't even there? All we doing was just holding a seashell up to the microphones, next to the microphone, and you could really hear the ocean. Now I had to listen to, and I go, man, you can actually hear the waves.
It was lovely.
It was great.
I think the big difference. I think it depends on you. Getting back a little bit serious, it does depend on the equipment you use. We've got some good mics. We do have good headphones. We do have a really good handheld Zoom device. So so certainly using that seems to be made a big difference to us. Definitely.
Actually, the one thing that really made a big difference was putting the batteries in the right way in the Zoom.
It did help, didn't it? It did help.
Yeah.
And pressing record.
Yeah, if we're talking about technical things, batteries in the right direction and pressing record, huge difference. And then don't drop all the equipment in the sand afterwards. Don't
do that. Yeah, and then don't get home and go to get the mic out and it's full of sand as well anyway because you haven't got it out. Anyway, we also got an email this week. This has been a busy week. There's got a lot of feedback from.
Wow, we're getting some. We're getting out there, Lewis. People are listening to us. This is great.
This was hey guys. This is an email we got. Hey guys, I was just out walking my dogs here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. That's a beautiful part of the world. Listening to your beach podcast and OMG. Heard you give me a shout out for my YouTube comment.
Yes.
Now, just to back up, this was the YouTube comment about how beautiful your kitchen looked.
Absolutely, yes.
And Christina was very impressed with that. And this 47-year-old woman was giddier than when I met Keith Urban 14 years ago.
He's Australian as well.
ISH*T, you not. And I mean, I often say, mate, that as far as the podcasts go, you are a co-host to me like Nicole Kidman is to Keith. So I can see the parallels there, mate. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, in that I'm much more talented than you.
Yeah. Well, you've got longer legs too as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I've got all my Emmy awards. You know, you just got a golden guitar. You know, you just get to sit on a chair with a rotating button.
You guys are amazing. And I'm a practice manager. And you really make me smile, de-stress my life a little, even teach me, she says, a little.
Oh, well, that's good.
A little bit disappointing. I mean, you know, perhaps we
baby
could do
steps.
Perhaps we could do some practice management podcasts. And next week we'll do first installment of Dr. Robbie's practice management tips. We'll start with no more Mr. Nice Guy. How's that sound, mate?
Yeah, maybe we could talk about how your trainee vet nurse liked about being called a trainee vet nurse. Well, maybe we can try that.
Well, I called her a vet nurse, and she said, "No, I'm not a vet nurse."
Oh, right. That was her own definition.
That was from her. Yeah, I was happy to call her a vet nurse. So,
yeah, right.
So next week, listen up for no more Mr. Nice Guy, or maybe how to fire your trainee vet nurse.
Yeah. How to wear your angry pants and still get a good Christmas present at the Christmas party.
Exactly. Yeah. So, good to hear, and I keep up the absolutely amazing work. Love you guys, Krista.
Thanks, Krista. Thanks for listening in BC.
And on this, she's accidentally put a little. She's left her signature here, and it actually says Dr. Christina Anderton.
All right. Yeah.
Mount Waverley. Hang on a second.
Whoa. Oh, hang on.
What? Hang on a sec. And then she said, P.S. If at all possible, I know I've just started sort of listening. Is it possible to have Deb? It was lovely to hear her on the show. Is it possible to have her a bit more in the future that on the podcast? So,
of course it is, Krista.
There's another different person with no question, but with an email. But
I'll take that as a comment, Krista.
Asking for Deb on the show as well. And finally, we got one from, I think it's the final one, from Nick Tuna. I'm not sure.
The big fish.
Do you know Nick
I don't.
Tuna?
No,
okay.
No, but I do now. Now we're bestest of friends.
Yeah. She often comments, I think, which is lovely. G'day, Nick Tuna. I'm not sure. I guess your name's Nick. G'day, Nick. We'll say Nick. Could you talk about poisoned cues in training? It seems a complicated balance of timing and intent. And also, if possible, could you have
Deb on the podcast, Yeah.
Have
Poison cues.
Have you seen this one, mate? Yeah.
Oh, and
Deb
you get that look on your face, mate. Yeah. So
well,
poison
no one
cues.
can see that except on YouTube. We might be on YouTube this week. Check it out. So
Yeah,
Deb on
sorry,
the podcast,
Christy, you're going to miss out on the kitchen. The kids are watching The Simpsons, so I'm just you've got the blank wall and the no lighting.
I know it's no beautiful kitchen, so and no ring light. Where's the ring light, mate?
Yeah,
I can see in your eyes. There's no ring light.
I've got these sort of white eyes that are like flaring up like a deer in the headlights. It's awesome.
Well, there's no white vets on Instagram today from you, mate. So poison cues, I have no idea what that meant. So I think Nick thankfully did send me a link.
Gave you a hint?
To have a little bit of a look into where she got the idea from. And I guess I'm not trying to hose it down too much, but I've been doing behavior for 15 or 20 years and I've never really heard of it before. So I'm not sure that it's a mainstream theory necessarily,
okay.
But this dogs from an Instagram group, dog_at_heart, who it's a common misunderstanding that once a dog in inverted commas knows a behavior and does not respond correctly, the dog should be corrected or punished. This is what they say on this post. However, when we use corrections combined with positive reinforcement, what we're really doing is creating poison cues and poisoning the environment. This means we're creating anxiety and uncertainty in our dogs because they're never quite sure whether a correction or reinforcer is coming. So, I mean, I can go on. They give examples of poison cues, but I think the thing that stopped me was I'm not a big fan of using corrections or punishment at all, really. So,
you've been trying to punish me for 160 episodes, mate. It hasn't worked once.
And you keep coming back.
The
idea of punishment is it decreases the probability of that behavior occurring in the future.
Yes.
And it's not working. You keep
not working at all.
161. You still come back for more. Give me more punishment.
Like a boomerang.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I think poison cues, I feel like that somebody's just made up their own term. I know that's all
terms are made up, but that's just one that hasn't really caught on.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you're going to use punishment, then you're going to create anxiety anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you're combining it with positive reinforcement. But the studies show that if you're using positive punishment or you're using corrections, the studies show that you're more likely to have a dog that's got anxiety. You're more likely to have a dog that's showing a potential to show aggression, and you're more likely to have a dog that's going to be less responsive to your commands in the future. So, poison cues or not, it's more about creating consistency. And if you're consistently using positive reinforcement, if you're there's a dog doing something you don't want to, for instance, it's jumping up on you, which is a classic one. Dog jumps up on you. A lot of owners perhaps have been taught to use corrections. You push the dog off, or you tell the dog no, or you push it away, or even worse, sometimes people talk about hitting the dog or standing on their toes, which is absolutely abhorrent. But if you're using positive reinforcement and you ignore the dog when it jumps up on you, and you work from the other end, you teach the dog you want it to sit for food rewards, and you're doing a lot of training in that time. When it becomes that excitement time, you've got that background training. You can turn around, ask the dog to sit. When it sits, then you reward it. There's no need to use corrections. You just don't. You don't need it. And I think it's often more used these days. Poison cues would be the term balanced training is often a little just what trainers tend to use when they basically saying, I use punishment as well as using positive reinforcement.
But it's balanced.
Well, it makes it sound nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So certainly, I much prefer that people were redirecting a dog. They're doing something they don't want them to do. It's barking at the front fence. We'll call them over and play with the ball with them. Redirect them. Do something else that with them rather than using corrections. And so I really didn't go much further. I'm sorry, Nick Tuner. I understand you wanted to know all about poison cues, but whatever they're calling it, whatever it is, it involves using seems to involve using punishment. I'm not sure if at the end of it they say don't use punishment because it causes poisoned because it is poisoning their environment.
Yeah.
But don't use punishment at all because it just straight out causes anxiety, regardless of what you're using positive reinforcement as well.
Yeah.
So
use a positive cue, not a poison cue.
Yeah, or a punishment cue, exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question. And if you got a further follow-up question, or if you have any questions you want to know about, I don't know, enrichment cues, something else. You want to make something up and ask us a question.
Yeah.
Let us know. Two Vets Talk Pets.
You find out about more, vegan kangaroo poo versus meth poo, consumption in dogs. And just in case anyone asks us the question, look, eating possum poo is probably okay as long as it's not on meth.
Possums on meth, you don't want to touch that.
No, don't mess with the meth possums.
Mess with the meth.
Hello, possums.
A bit of Dame Edna coming in. Is that Dame Edna?
Very just nice. A little bit, just a
very nice. Alrighty. So if you want to listen to us a week early, go to Two Vets. Go to patreon.com. Two Vets Talk Pets. You can hear us a week early for those lucky ones. If you got any questions, twovettalkpets@gmail.com. We are on Instagram. I'm going to put a picture up, or I have put a picture up of us in our little pod cave when we were on the 4 Mile Beach at Port Douglas in the beautiful
tropical North Queensland.
Exactly. Under a palm tree, ready to be hit by a coconut.
Yes. Yeah. Either have a crocodile take out our toes or have a coconut land on our bonces. And neither of us have got enough protection on our head to try and protect us if a coconut falls on the melon.
Exactly. And go to Mossam Gorge where you can be bit by an eel. But to all the non-Australian listeners, those in BC, Canada, come out to Australia. It's safe. There's not many crocs in the water. No coconuts. There's no eels to bite you.
I didn't find a redback spider when I was cleaning out leaves out my front gate.
Yeah.
Just before we went away on holiday. It definitely wasn't a redback spider that was the size of my thumbnail. Definitely wasn't.
And we don't have sharks much.
Not at all.
Not out of the water anyway.
No.
But we're safe. So anyway, got any questions? We're on Facebook as well.
Yes.
Go up and check out Robbie's Ceiling fan page. He's getting a few subscribers on there lately.
Here's my light. I'll see if I can get my light on there. Turn you up. So look at that. Ooh, it's not a ceiling fan, but it's a nice ceiling rose.
Very nice. Alrighty, guys. Scratch you later.
Peace out, everyone. Bye.